Oh, live.
And we are live. There we go. Okay, good.
Oh, hey.
So, no one, of course, is watching at this point since we've just started, but they'll see the video, of course, in their subscription inboxes. Would you be able to open up a window and check your subscription inbox? Because if you if you see it there, then you can basically post the link on Facebook.
Yeah. Oh, I'll probably do it on Twitter because my Facebook gets a little.
Okay.
But I was gonna post this video when it was done.
Right. Yeah.
But sorry.
That's okay.
Everyone's watching me scroll through YouTube. This is.
No one's watching right now.
Yeah.
The only people watching this are the people who watch after the fact.
Oh, so it'll be me looking at my. I can't actually see. Yeah. Sorry.
Right. Ray is here. Ray.
Oh, Scott.
Oh, hey. How's it going?
Hey, Jim. How are you?
Oh, good. How are you doing?
Fine, thanks. Hey. Long time no see, guys.
Yeah. Glad you could join us.
Yeah. What's happening?
Well, Jim and I were just doing a little test about a half an hour ago just to make sure that everything was working okay. And it is. We don't seem to have the Q&A option on the Hangout anymore. We've got something called group chat instead. And I don't know if this will mean that people who are watching will be able to comment, but so far we don't have any viewers. It's just the three of us right now.
Yeah,
so we can just do whatever.
They keep on changing Google Hangouts all the time, innit?
I know, yeah. I've had to re-download the plugin for a Hangout like 3 different occasions. I don't know what's going on there.
That last Hangout, I was trying to. I don't know. It was like Pan's Labyrinth. I couldn't find my way into the Hangout.
Yeah. Yeah, it's much too complicated. I really I'm not a fan of the site.
So, where are you from, Jim? What part of the US?
Yeah, I'm. Sorry, I was just tweeting out the URL. Hold on. Okay, there I am. Okay. No, I live in Brooklyn, New York. I'm originally from Baltimore, actually.
Oh.
Where are you in England?
I am in Scotland.
Oh, darn!
I
should have known.
I've made that mistake myself. I've made that mistake.
Embarrassing. Actually, my wife's English, so I should have known. Oh.
It's central Scotland. If you think Edinburgh, Glasgow, I'm in between them.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry.
It's okay. We're all from the same planet anyway, aren't we? So.
Oh, okay. That's a good point. I should say that. That's a good saying. I like that.
So have you watched any films or TV shows?
Recently? I guess I watched Winter Soldier again last night on Blu-ray. So that was fun. You know, I realized how that's probably the tightest Marvel movie I think I've watched in terms of his whole arc and everything, because it's really all about Captain America and him learning about S.H.I.E.L.D. and how he can trust the government and everything. And that was kind of interesting. I don't think I've seen them ever be as tight as Winter Soldier.
That's the second one.
Yes, that's the second one.
I'm not quite up to speed in all my Marvel films.
Oh yeah.
I've seen the first one I'm about 50 minutes into the first one. And I was watching it on like my Android tablet, so I had things to do, and then I was like, no, I'll watch the rest of it later. But I didn't actually get back to it. I've still need to watch the second half of the first film. But I've heard the second film's amazing.
Yeah, they're really different. They're not similar. They're like the first one's World War II, and the second one is like a political thriller now. So they're like. They're almost not like sequels to. I mean, they are, but they feel so different. It's strange.
And is the Winter Soldier set after the Avengers movie?
Yes. Yeah. So it's like, yeah. So I guess you'd have to watch Captain America, Avengers, and then Winter Soldier. I mean, you wouldn't have to, but I mean, I guess if you've seen the Avengers or not, I don't know.
Yeah. I heard you were talking about the Marvel films last time, eh? Quite a bit.
Mm. Have you seen any movies lately, or?
I've actually, 2 seconds, I'll show you. I recently watched Runaway Train.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, I love that movie. Yeah. Yeah, it's a terrific movie.
I'm not familiar with that movie, but I am familiar with the song.
Oh no.
Nice one. It's on Arrow Video release. I don't know if you have. Do you have Arrow Video in America?
I've heard of them, but I don't know how big they are over there.
The sort of digitally remastered, like sort of Forgotten Films and B Films and like Grindhouse. But I always remember this one from when was it, Scott? Was it 84?
I'm not sure, but it was like mid-'80s, I think.
And I remember on videos, on VHS, sort of, it looked great, and I couldn't remember a lot about it when from the years past, but it's a darn good film. It's a bit cheesy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the accents are a bit sort of thingy, but it's a classic 80s film, I think.
Yeah, it's amazing. The guy is the director is Andrei Konchalovsky, and I think the film that he made before that was called The Tin Drum, and then he did that movie, and then he went on to do Tango and Cash of all movies.
That's a great film as well.
Oh, I didn't know the guy who did The Tin Drum did Tango and Cash. That's interesting. Yeah. That makes me want to rewatch. Well, I never saw Tango and Cash, so it makes me want to see Tango and Cash. That's bizarre.
Tango and Cash.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of influence he had on the movie, but Tango and Cash has always been one of my favorite action comedies because it seems to be just barely edging into parody territory. It's like they're just edging into making fun of the whole action and mismatched partners who don't get along and all the sort of cliches. I saw it with friends and they just hated it. I'm like, are we watching the same movie? I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was so funny.
I love the scene when he's in the jail, and I don't know, is it Ron Howard's brother or is it the guy that looks like Ron Howard?
Clint Howard, yeah.
Oh yeah, there's that guy who looks like Clint Howard. That's confusing.
Yeah.
Is there?
Yeah.
There's this one, and I couldn't. If I had his picture in front of you, I'd be like, "That's the guy," but I couldn't name him ever.
You don't know what he's been in, do you?
Oh, the guy who looks like Clint Howard's brother?
Right.
No, I don't know. I don't know his name. So
no.
But every now and then I see him. I'm like, is that Clint Howard? And then sometimes I've seen Clint Howard and go, is that the guy who looks like Clint Howard? And it's just very confusing. I'm sure that happens to Clint Howard a lot too.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that the guy who is Stallone's cellmate in Tango and Cash is actually Clint Howard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I love that scene where he's got like the slinky thing, and he's like, crazy people, you have to watch Crazy People or something. The next time you see it, the slinky's wrapped around him. Excellent.
I read
No, go ahead, Jim.
Oh, I actually read a thing about Tango and Cash because the site that Dissolve has a feature called It's called Forgot Busters. And they pick a movie that was in the top 25 highest-grossing films of a year that nobody talks about anymore, and they did Tango and Cash, and apparently it had I think they said, and it was a month ago I read this, so I might be a little off, but I think it had several different directors, what was going on, and several different writers. It sounded like a mess, that whole thing.
Oh,
But I didn't recognize that guy's name, I didn't look him up, so now I'm going to have to reread it, or at least watch. The Tin Drum connection is just even more bizarre.
What's the Tin Drum?
It's a Russian film.
Wait, am I getting this wrong? Who's the guy who directed Tango and Cash?
Andrei Konchalovsky.
And what did he do before Runaway Train?
The Tin Drum, at least as far as I remember.
Okay. I'm sorry, I was lost. Yeah. I thought we were... Okay, sorry. My fault.
Yeah, he did all three of those movies. As far as I remember, I hope I'm not wrong about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never actually seen the Tin Drum. I just read about it.
It's bizarre, to say the least.
Well, that's a very bizarre resume that the guy has. You know,
Yeah.
those 3 movies. Yeah, that's a
And
little weird.
is that no member Terry Hatcher?
Yeah, Terry
She's
Hatcher.
in Tango and Cash.
Right, and Jack Palance was the villain, and Byron James was like his head lackey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent.
It's funny. Eddie Bunker. I just realized this. Eddie Bunker was Kurt Russell's captain in the movie,
Right.
and he was also a technical advisor on Runaway Train. And this was before he did Reservoir Dogs. At least this is how. No. He wasn't a technical advisor. He was actually one of the guys in prison with John Voight and Eric Roberts and Danny Trejo before the 2 main characters escaped.
That's correct.
And then he went on to do Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah, I was like, how do I know that guy? You know, I couldn't work it out. And then when it says that Eddie Bunker had been in prison for something like 18 years or something, was it 18 years?
Yeah.
And he became like a screenwriter. And then I thought, all right, Eddie, I know that name from somewhere. So IMDb, and then it's like, ding ding, he was he Mr. Blue in Reservoir Dogs?
Yeah, Mr. Blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd never made that connection before. I should have, because it was the same director, both of those movies, but I only just now realized.
Yeah.
Interrogate the guy who just blew you away? Forget it. Stay away from him, Cash. So that's a line that I always sticks in my head. And I'm like, oh, right, Eddie Bunker, of course.
Excellent. Scott, how could you remember all these things? You must have
I don't know. I mean, yeah. There's a lot of dialogue. Jim, last time we did the Hangout, I don't know if you watched or not, but we were trying to stump each other with lines of dialogue from movies. And there's plenty that I don't remember, but I still remember way too much.
Yeah.
And it could be anything. Anybody could say anything at any time that will trigger either remembering a line of dialogue or a song, something like that,
Yeah.
Because I retain a lot of that stuff.
Sometimes I'll retain a certain line and line delivery and not and think it's from a movie that it really isn't, and I'll be like, oh, that's from a movie from the 30s, and I'll go, no, that was Jaws. Why would I think that was? And that's happened to me a lot of times. I'll put it in a completely wrong context in my mind for like a couple hours, and then I'll stop and go, why did I? That's the thing that happens to me a lot, which is bizarre. But
we've got 2 viewers right now. I wanted to say welcome very much. Thank you for tuning into our live chat. Appreciate you tuning in.
Hi.
And we have a thing open right now called Group Chat. I do not know if this is something that you as viewers will be able to participate in, but please try leaving us comments if you want us. If there's any sort of topics you'd like us to touch on. And if we can, we'll read them and respond to them. The Q&A has been disabled for some reason. But yeah, please try leaving us comments and let us know what you'd like us to discuss, if anything. So there was one thing that I kind of wanted to talk about today, and that is that James, DVD Collector 1974, did a vlog recently, which he sort of had this sort of hypothetical situation, a hypothetical person who you meet who, for some reason, whatever reason, has never ever seen a movie. And the idea is to recommend a particular movie that's not only good, but also a good example of a particular genre. One for horror, one for action, one for sci-fi, a western, comedy, drama, etc. So I had my little list here, but I wanted to ask you guys if you had any thoughts on that. If you met someone who had never seen a movie before and you wanted a recommendation for an action movie or a thriller or just a drama, what do you think would be a good sort of starting point?
Well, I always think the best movie, if you've never ever seen a movie, is Wizard of Oz, just because that's the movie that when the AFI or any film charity goes into some village in Africa where literally no one's seen a movie, they'll play The Wizard of Oz because it just speaks to anyone. Like, there's no way you can not like The Wizard of Oz, first off.
Right.
And then, I mean, so that's probably the best one to show anyone because you know they'll fall in love with it. That and like maybe the very first Star Wars, something like that. But for genre, oh man, That'd be tough. I mean, you'd have to make sure it's really good, like essential, like Halloween maybe for horror.
That was the first thing I thought of for horror. As soon as James mentioned horror, I'm like, ooh, it has to be Halloween. That's a classic.
But then I'd also think, is that putting the bar too high for them? And they'll see another horror movie and go, well, none of these are as good as Halloween. So,
that's true.
I mean, hopefully they'll be into it and they'll accept that. They'll accept that. Because usually when you're a kid, you see a lot of garbage, and then you build up to seeing something good, you know? So I think I'd hope if, I mean, how old is this person? I guess, maybe that would help.
I guess it depends. It's all hypothetical, but they're like an adult. They're like a full-grown adult. So,
The thing about The Wizard of Oz and Star Wars is you could watch them without the sound as well, no without dialogue.
Yeah.
You would get what the film was about. You know what I mean?
No, because those are both like just almost complete visual storytelling.
Yeah.
Where you don't. I mean, the dialogue and the music definitely adds to the experience, but they work so well without it. Like I've seen them on it, like a video store, or, you're walking by and you just see the images, and you can still follow it completely. Not just because I've seen both those movies 1,000,002 times, but
Is that one of your favorite films, Jim?
Both Wizard of Oz. If it's on, like they play it on TBS here in America, and anytime it's on, I'll like sit down for an hour longer than I thought I would. I'll just be like, I'll just watch this one scene, and then I'll be like, oh my god, I'm in the Emerald City already? What happened? Like I just get really into it, and it's kind of, I don't know, I've liked it since I was a kid. It's the height of classic Hollywood in 1939. So same with Star Wars is like the height of the 70s filmmaking when those directors could do whatever they want. And so they're both kind of, to me, they're both representations of that. And they're also incredibly audience-friendly movies. So, that's why I picked both those. And same with Halloween, actually.
Yeah. I mean, I'd seen a lot of horror movies and slasher movies before seeing Halloween when I was like a teenager. But when I did see it, I recognized, ooh, this had to be something really big when it came out. Because there's something so basically amazing about how this movie is made. It's a really simple movie, but incredibly effective. And it's definitely top of my list for horror.
And it's really intense. That's the thing that I think. It was the first horror movie I saw where I needed to like pause it at a certain point just to be like calm down a little bit the first time. I was just like surprised how because you're like just I was in a house by myself when I saw it, and it can really scare you. And I think that's like something that like you're not prepared for with horror. When in the 90s, when I was a teenager, it was not a great period for horror, so I was just shocked that like, oh, horror was like really good at one point. It wasn't just Scream and everything. So that was what shocked me the most when I saw it.
It's fun. Just to sideline a wee bit, do any of you watch Doctor Who?
Yes, I do watch Doctor Who.
I haven't seen much of that. I saw a couple of old Tom Baker episodes when I was in high school, and I actually just recently, because I knew that they were going to start new episodes with Peter Capaldi, so I wanted to get caught up on like one of the last Matt Smith episodes, and I could not make heads or tails of it. I didn't know what the heck was happening. I mean, it made sense at first, but towards the end, all of a sudden this character played by John Hurt shows up, and it's like, oh, he was the original Doctor before he actually became the Doctor, and they're just like, wait a minute, what? What's going on? I don't get any of it.
It was not a sort of good point to watch after your first Doctor Who.
That's too much continuity. You would have to watch.
What I thought I was watching was the episode where he turns into Peter Capaldi at the end, but it wasn't that episode. It was something different.
Right.
So I was pretty lost. Yeah.
The reason I was asking it is because last night was the fourth episode, and it was called Listen. But what Jim was saying, when he was in the house himself, and he says the hairs, it's like you can hear all the creaks, the hairs in the back of your neck. That's what the whole episode was about.
Oh, really?
And that's how I brought it up. I thought it's everybody's childhood fear is that unknown. You know, you hear the creaks of the house, and like you say, it's when you watched Halloween. That's I think what I got as well when I first watched it. I know you were like, oh.
I mean that's what I love with horror is it is just being alone, and when I don't know, being scared, it's kind of fun. I mean, oftentimes when I watch a horror movie, I'll turn off all the lights and make sure it's late at night, just because it'll be a little more. Even if I know it's like not that good, I'm like, well, I'll give it its due, so I can get even at the jump scare, get a little scared.
Yeah.
But you know, there's certain movies like the Blair Witch Project. I don't think works very well with a lot of people, like at a party setting. But if you watch it by yourself, it's really scary. But everyone I know that Halloween it got, because it came out in theaters and it got on video right away for Halloween. Mm-hmm. And I knew people who'd have it on at parties and they say it's awful. And I was like, yeah, because you're not supposed to do that. It's not made for that. I mean, they're not going to put a warning, please watch this alone with the lights off, you know, late at night.
Evil Dead 2 is good for parties. Halloween, not so much.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, Evil Dead 2 is a great party movie. You know?
I showed that to my church group when I was in high school. They loved it.
Yeah. Oh, I remember you telling that story. I was like,
did I? Yeah.
I was imagining that, like, oh man, they must have been. That was a nicer church group than any church group I'd ever gone to.
Yeah, they were a little. They were kind of cool. Yeah.
They would have kicked me out. Something.
Was that your favorite Evil Dead film?
Probably. I think Evil Dead, the first one, is maybe a stronger film overall, but Evil Dead 2 is just so much fun. You know, it's just so crazy. So yeah, I kind of got to give that one the props. I think I put it in my top 100 favorite movies, that list that I put together a couple weeks ago. Yeah. I think that was one of them.
I enjoyed
it was a recommendation from this friend of mine who I've known for many, many years, and he introduced me to a lot of really bizarre and crazy stuff, Clockwork Orange and Brazil, and that was definitely one of them. So, yeah.
I liked the third one as well. So it was pretty good.
Yeah, Army of Darkness. And now they're going to be having a musical open here in Chicago. Evil Dead the Musical is going to be opening soon.
Oh, that'll be good.
It's a live stage show.
I missed that when it was in New York, and I really regret not being able to see that. I hear it's a lot of fun. I didn't see it myself.
Yeah.
But
you know what I really wanted to see but couldn't because I didn't live in New York was Liev Schreiber in talk radio. You know, I would have loved to see that.
Oh, I remember hearing about that. Yeah, it's hard to. The thing with the tickets though is it's a lot of money. It's like it's. I would go to. I've only actually seen Hairspray. And Mary Poppins. That's about it, I think.
Yeah, it was $100 to go and see Wicked, and we weren't anywhere near close to the front of the theater. Yeah, that was it's expensive. Yeah, to go like that. I really wanted to see the Book of Mormon too, but I just couldn't work out the scheduling, unfortunately.
Yeah, I missed that as well. And I'm a big Trey. I love Trey Parker and Matt Stone, but I didn't get to see it. I feel like there'll be a movie eventually, so that way I can like. For everyone else who saw the musical, they'll be sick of it, but I'll be more into it because it'll be newer for me. But I think that's a ways off since those guys are pretty busy.
I bought have any of you seen the film The Phantom of the Opera, the musical one?
The Schumacher film?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it when it was in the theater.
Did you like it? Yeah.
Actually, I thought it was kind of dull. I was expecting something really great because I thought, oh, Joel Schumacher was born to make this movie. But I think part of the problem was the disconnect between the performers on screen and the actual singing, because it doesn't look like they're singing. It looks like they're lip syncing. It just looks like they're moving their mouths, and that made it kind of a dull experience for me. I liked a lot of the music, of course, but the film itself, not so great.
It was I bought the Blu-ray of it was like the 25th anniversary of the stage show, so I got that on Blu-ray because I never got to see the show, but it was a second best thing to actually go on a show. It was pretty good. was a couple of films I've just put on my wish list here. There was the Viggo Mortensen one. I think it's got released. It gets released in the UK tomorrow. The Two Faces of.
Oh, January.
Yeah.
Two Faces of January?
Have any seen that?
No, it hasn't come out here in the States yet. It should be coming out soon. I've been seeing it in the fall movie preview issues.
I think it's on VOD here, actually.
Oh, okay.
I think so.
Cool.
I haven't checked, but I think so.
I wonder if it's any good.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it, actually. I've read a little bit about it, and it sounds interesting. I think Kirsten Dunst and Oscar Isaac are also in it.
Right.
It just sounds like something that I'd really enjoy. So I am planning on checking it out once it gets here.
Is it a bit like the Brothers Bloom? I just sort of read a quick sort of sentence about it. It says that a con man and his wife or someone goes to, and then I just sort of, we'll have to come on here to do the actual hangout before I can read it anymore.
Yeah.
But the
movies about con artists are a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I can't think of too many except for the Ocean's movies in which it turns out that the main character is always the one who's being conned. Because the main character is sort of the stand-in for the audience.
Yeah.
Right.
So anytime there's a con going on, it's almost always the main character that's being fooled, even if the main character is himself a con artist. Like in Matchstick Men, for example.
Oh, that was a great movie.
Yeah. The Spanish Prisoner and just trying to think of a few others. That one sort of stands out. Campbell Scott's getting scammed by Steve Martin, and he finds out, too late what's really going on.
Yeah.
Those kinds of reveals are always lots of fun.
Yeah.
Either of you ever seen the Perfect Getaway?
I don't think so.
Who's in that?
Steve Zahn and Mila Jovovich are the main characters.
No, I didn't see that.
Oh, yeah, they're a couple on honeymoon, and they keep hearing these reports about another couple that's actually on sort of a killing spree, and they could be in their area. They're on vacation in Hawaii on their honeymoon, and yeah, you just hear these things. But it's another one of those movies where there's this really juicy reveal at a certain point, which I won't get into. But yeah, just moments like that, I really, really enjoy quite a lot when I see them.
I've actually have seen that, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really good film, really good.
Yeah.
I heard about that because I don't think anyone expected when the trailers were coming out anything from it, and then when it came out, everyone was kind of surprised by it. As I remember it, I didn't see it though. It sounds kind of cool.
Yeah. It's by David Twohy, who did the Riddick movies.
All right.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's set in Hawaii, isn't it?
Right. Yeah, that's where it takes place.
So you get, the scenery is amazing in it as well.
Well, sure. Yeah, it looks like a very comfortable place to to have a vacation. That's for sure.
Tim Oliphant's in it, isn't it?
Yes, he's in it as well. And actually, Chris Hemsworth is in it. That was well before Thor, I think, a couple years before Thor came out. He's got a small part. You mentioned that your wife is English?
Oh, yes, yeah.
How long have you been married?
About actually 5 years. We had our 5th anniversary, I guess, a month ago. So, yeah.
Cool, that's great.
Yeah.
Did you meet in the U.S.?
Yeah, actually, we met. We've been together since 2005, so I guess 9 years, if my math's correct. And yeah, we met in school, and we've been together since, and then got married in Brooklyn. And so, but yeah,
Where's she from?
She's from. She's born in Brighton, or right outside of Brighton, at Shoreham by the Sea, which I might be butchering the name of, but I've been to Brighton once. It was nice. They have a nice old movie theater there. But we're in Brooklyn now, where we live in this glorious apartment.
Is she a movie fan too?
Yeah, we watch movies together. Not I don't. She doesn't come as frequently as I do, but we try to like movies. We're actually watching The Sopranos right now. We're like we're on season 5. We've been kind of, I guess, binge watching because it's kind of an addictive show. But but she doesn't watch she won't do the horror thing. She thinks that's too crazy, the turn off the lights thing. But we do try to see movies together, and like we saw Gravity at the IMAX, and she held my arm tightly the entire time.
Yeah.
So we try to go to the movies a lot, and I try to introduce her. Actually, we saw Jaws on 4th of July, and before I always watch Jaws every summer, and she'd always be like, I don't think she got why I was so into it, but then when we saw it on the big screen, it was a good restoration. It was a great crowd. She had a good time, so that was a lot of fun, And Jaws is an awesome movie. So.
Yeah, you have to watch it in the summer, like you say, isn't it?
Yeah, I always feel like with Jaws, it's like when you sit through a whole summer of blockbusters that are all influenced by Spielberg, I end up by the end of the summer having a real craving to watch either Raiders or Jaws, because it's like I've seen 20 movies influenced by one period of Spielberg, and I'm just like, okay, I have to watch Jaws at this point. It's just it drives me nuts at the end. I'm like, at the beginning I'm okay, but around August is my birthday. Usually around then I'm like, no, I have to. I have to get this out of my system, So I mean, until Hollywood blockbusters aren't influenced by Steven Spielberg, I guess maybe then I won't. But as for right now, that doesn't seem like that's ending anytime soon.
Yeah, if they're not influenced by Spielberg, they're influenced by Star Wars. It's one or the other.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that influence will ever change at least for a while.
And you can see how much Spielberg influenced J.J. Abrams and his style.
Right.
He's amazing director as well.
Yeah. I worry about him because I like him, but then I don't like the endings of his films as much as the beginnings with Abrams. The beginnings I always love, and the endings I'm always not as into. But
I was really not into the ending of the Star Trek Into Darkness. That's for sure.
How's that?
Yeah.
What didn't you like about it, Scott?
Well. Jim said really well in his review that the movie has envy, and them trying to just replicate things that happen in Wrath of Khan is just the wrong way to go, and it just seemed to drag out really, really long time, that whole fight scene on the hovering vehicle between Spock and Khan. It just it's just end already. It sort of had kind of an obvious. It seemed kind of obvious to me where it was going and how it was going to end, and so I just sort of sat there waiting around for things to wrap up. And it wasn't just the end either. There was that scene where Kirk and Khan are jumping from one ship to the other, and there's all this debris in the way, and everyone's just get the doors open, Scotty, get the doors open on the opposite ship, and it just went on for so long that I just kind of realized partway through, they're going to be fine. I don't need to worry about this. I'm just waiting for them to get to safety, because you're not going to get killed at this point in the movie. It's too soon.
Yeah. I kind of think with Into Darkness, they needed to figure out, are they making Space Seed, the episode that Khan of the original series that Khan was in, or are they making Wrath of Khan? And the whole movie, they didn't seem to understand which they were making, and so it got a little confusing, because Wrath of Khan only makes sense if the episode exists where they put them on the planet and all that bad stuff happens, and then Khan has a reason to have a wrath. And if he doesn't have a reason, it gets a little he's just this crazy bad guy, It's in Wrath of Khan, he has that real, you get it, because his wife died, because the planet was uninhabitable, because no one came back to check on him. And that's I don't know.
Here's the thing that bothers me about a lot of these franchises, and I see it almost always in the Batman movies, or at least the ones from the 90s, and with the recent Spider-Man movies, and that is they try to do too much in each installment. With a comic book, it's like there's a new issue out every month, so they don't have to do as much. But these movies only come out every 2 or 3 years, and so in order to satisfy people, they need to cram in more story points and more villains and more incident, because they won't get the chance to do that until for another 3 years for the next installment. So it doesn't surprise me that they tried to redo both Space Seed and Wrath of Khan in the same movie, and it just doesn't work, Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could have theoretically done both, but they didn't. You would have to structure it a lot better. But it is. I do worry that, especially with the Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man movies, I guess, is they try to push in all these different villains and all these different future storylines, and they're not thinking about the movie itself. They're thinking about the overarching franchise. What's funny is everyone wants to do that because of Marvel, and all of Marvel's movies work as individual stories. So it's like they're missing the real lesson is that you have to get us as an audience into your movie for us to want to actually see the next movie. You can't just expect if you set us up, we're all going to come back. We're not like stupid consumers. We like have a bit of a brain. So like I think one of the reasons that they've had so much success is because of that, because you have an individual like, hey, this is a good movie, I want to see this movie. They're not thinking about, I want to see Thanos or I want to see the Sinister Six. Like, only like the real fans care about that. They need to think about, just getting us to fall in love with the franchise, not just expecting us to. That's the thing I was thinking with Amazing Spider-Man, is they're not thinking about us being involved in it. They're just expecting us to be there, and that's very presumptive and kind of bad business.
Yeah, no, I agree. Especially when I read about the Amazing Spider-Man 2 and just how much got cut out and how much was changed during the movie being made, and it really doesn't sound like they locked a script and they just wanted to put all this stuff in there and then decided some of it wouldn't fit, and so then they released the movie.
Yeah, I don't know that. A lot of people blame Avi Arad. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation of that, but they blame him for ruining that franchise. But I actually read a really interesting, maybe a little crazy conspiracy movie theory article about how Sony might try to bring Spider-Man into the Marvel movies, which I'm kind of wondering if that'll happen or not, because the way they so that they could have Spider-Man in like the Avengers stuff and things, which the way they laid it out, I was like, oh, maybe, but I still think Sony's pretty screwed because they're just, I mean, that studio is kind of a mess right now, except for the James Bond, which is not really Sony's, it's the Broccoli family. So, it's just a mess, I wish they would just get a good filmmaker, give us a good Spider-Man story. And then I think, that's why Spider-Man 3 did so well. It's because Spider-Man 2 is a really good movie. And everyone wanted to see the next one. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think maybe there are studios that go through good periods and bad periods, that they have the right people in charge of marshalling all those big revenue streams.
That's true. I mean, look at Disney before they had Pixar and things like that. I mean, they're live action, either for kids or, were technically good looking but not actual good movies, I guess like Black Hole. So, I think they do, but Sony right now is in, I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I'm sure they'll be fine. They're Sony,
Yeah.
They've got TV.
They got plenty of money.
I've only seen the first new Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield, and I just didn't like it at all. I thought he was miscast in it. I thought he was pretty poor in it now.
Yeah, he was. I was surprised they put him in it, and that it's kind of sad. You look at his filmography, and The Amazing Spider-Man, the first one came out in 2012. This new one came out this year, and he hasn't done anything since. Like it's like what happened to that cool actor who was in Social Network, and it's like I used to really like him, and then it was like when I saw the second one, I was like, oh my god, what happened? But he's apparently in more stuff now, because he has this long break and he's trying to do more stuff. But it's kind of a long break for a young actor to take.
Maybe there was a reason.
You don't really. Yeah. Well, I guess he was doing Spider-Man movies.
I imagine those it probably takes place those movies probably take a ton of time to do. There's all that physical training and rehearsing of the fight scenes and everything like that. I mean, it's a massive undertaking, and it's kind of on his shoulders as the main character. Mm-hmm. Of course, he has a CGI stunt double and everything like that, but that doesn't mean this work's a cakewalk.
Yeah,
I thought what I remember about Peter Parker was he was unconfident, and he was a bit geeky, whereas I thought Andrew Garfield came across as like too sure of himself. Riding a skateboard in school, and I just didn't buy it. No, it was.
Actually, when I saw the trailer for The Amazing Spider-Man with a friend, and I was like, oh yeah, he's not nerdy anymore in these movies, and he was like, why would you take out the most interesting thing about Spider-Man is that he's a nerd and then he's a superhero, and like they just completely took it out because I guess they thought that would play better, but I don't know. I never liked him as much as Peter Parker. I like him a lot more as when he's in the suit as Spider-Man. I like him, but he's never been a good Peter Parker for me.
Because that was one of the key scenes, and I thought Spider-Man 2 by Tobey Maguire. I thought that was the best Spider-Man film to date.
Yeah.
And when he's fighting Doc Ock on the train, they take the mask off and they just say he's just a kid.
Yeah.
And that was the main scene that I thought summed up the movie for me, whereas Andrew Garfield knows Peter Parker. He was just like too confident, too sure of himself.
Yeah. No, I prefer Tobey Maguire, and that Spider-Man 2 that's one of my favorite superhero movies as of right now.
So I've recently I've been buying a couple of TV shows and films on Google Play Movies.
Uh-huh.
And Donnie Darko was I got that for, was it £4.50 or something in HD. What do you think of Donnie Darko?
Oh, I was tempted to rent that recently because I hadn't seen it in a really long time, but I haven't. It's never been a movie that I was like crazy about. I probably just didn't understand it, but I'm sure a lot of people don't.
I was like, watching it again, it's like, how you watch a movie and then you go, this actor was in it, and I didn't know they were in it. I didn't know they were in it when I had watched something else, what I'm trying to say. I'd watched the new Battlestar Galactica, and President, the lady that played the president.
Yeah.
Mary McDonald, she plays Donnie Darko's mum in it. And it was fun to see her in that role compared to when she was in Battlestar Galactica. It was pretty funny.
I didn't know who Maggie Gyllenhaal was when I first saw that movie. Now, of course, I know her quite well.
Uh-huh.
Actually, I don't think I knew really Seth Rogen other than for that guy in Freaks and Geeks when I first saw it. And I was like, oh, he's pretty cool. And I thought, oh, he'll never become anything or something. Something stupid like that. But I do, I think he says something insensitive, like your mom's dead or something, like in a real jokey way that, I don't know. I didn't deliver that well, but he delivered it well.
Yeah.
That was an odd one because it built up its audience on video, I think. I don't think anyone saw it when it came out in theaters.
It was just a fantastic film, It was so unusual, I recently watched This Is the End. It was Seth Rogen in that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's been on cable a lot recently, so I've seen it recently.
What do you think of that, Scott?
A lot of fun. The ending is a big happy payoff for me. I really like the ending of the movie a lot. And I enjoy watching the first part. We have a little miniature super bad reunion with Michael Cera terrorizing McLovin.
He's
Jonah Hill trying to calm him down. Yeah.
Even Rihanna,
Yeah, he's like, who stole my cell phone? And they get stabbed through the gut with a lamppost.
Oh, yeah.
He reaches into his pocket and it's like, oh, there it is. That's embarrassing. Yeah.
He was the best.
Yeah. That's a fun movie.
That was a good. I like when that Apatow style is a little looser because they could just do little bits And when every time they try to structure it like Identity Thief or something like that, it never works out as well. But like this, the end is perfect because they can do their little bits in the movie, and it's not breaking from any, because it's not very structured at all. It's like they can do the Rihanna thing, they can do they can make a sequel to Pineapple Express for no reason, and it all works. It's like, and it was like a lot of fun, you know.
Yeah, Emma Watson pops in for a little bit, and then she leaves, and yeah, it's fun. I didn't know that Identity Thief had anything to do with Apatow. Is he just like a producer?
No, I just think of the whole comedy style now as kind of influenced
the heavy
by him.
Improv thing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. Maybe he walked by one day or something, but I don't think he had anything to do with. Oh, hey, Olive. I don't think he had.
Yeah, I'm sure Melissa McCarthy is very heavy on the improv. You know, I mean, that seems something that she's pretty well suited for. Speaking of, any thoughts on actresses who you'd want to appear on an all-female Ghostbusters team, Jim?
Well, I mean, I like to Bill Murray picked, which was what, Kristen Wiig, Melissa McCarthy, I forget who else.
He picked Emma Stone for one of them.
Oh, really? I don't.
Yeah, she seems kind of young. I think that they ought to be like in their 30s. It's like a team. It's like a group of friends who are scientists, and it just seems like it would work better if they were all like sort of graduates of the same school or something like that.
I mean, I wouldn't mind like a Rashida Jones or someone like that, but I kind of would like maybe. I feel like if we were going to do another Ghostbusters after like '95. We should have just given it up. You know, it's like
yeah.
I love the first Ghostbusters, and it's a great movie, but I think we need to let go of making another one. You know, but I can think of. I mean, there's a lot of great comedic actresses right now, and really talented comedic actresses. So I actually kind of agree with what Bill Murray was saying. It's like if you're gonna do a new team, a female team would probably be a great idea. You know.
Yeah. I would very much look forward to seeing that movie. Pretty much, no matter who is in it, really. I think it would be a lot of fun.
You know, I mean, I know the only thing I really hated about the Ghostbusters 3 thing is the day Harold Ramis died, like literally the day, because I saw this on Twitter. Sony was like, by the way, we're still making Ghostbusters 3. And I was like, you could have waited, like, the day. Sony was like, no, we're still going to make Ghostbusters 3. And I was just like today? Maybe let's wait. I don't know. Like, he just died. Like, he was not cold, I think, and they said that.
I would expect a tweet from a person to be sensitive, not a tweet from a company.
Well, it wasn't, I don't know if it was a tweet, it was like a press release or something, just like, we're still moving forward. I was like, geez, like, give it some time. Like, no one was thinking about it. Like, I don't think anyone was sitting around. Everyone was just sad, and they had to confirm.
Yeah, it does seem
stupid Ghostbusters 3.
Yeah.
I don't know. Bad taste on their part, you know. This is becoming the shit on Sony Google Hangout at this point. I should move away from that.
Yeah. Well, at least they, no, actually, I don't know. I don't know who's doing Gone Girl, because they did the last couple of Fincher movies, but it's probably,
I think
it might be Fox.
I think it's Fox, right? I don't know.
I don't know. I used to keep up with what studios were doing which movies. Now it doesn't really matter to me as much.
I mean, it's kind of I only remember it in terms of a franchise, but then like directors switch so often.
Sure.
You know, it used to, like in old Hollywood, you'd have certain stars and directors would have contracts, and now it's like it really jumps around. But with the franchises and who owns what rights to what, that's the only way I remember it. You know.
Yeah. I was surprised when I learned that Christopher Nolan was making Interstellar at Paramount, because he's made so many films for Warner Brothers now. You know, he's done at least 4. I forget where the Prestige came from, but yeah.
I mean, maybe he just didn't want to.
Prestige is Warner Brothers as well, I think.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I mean, he might have. I think a lot of the studio heads he had worked with left and went there or something. I'm not I forget the whole deal, but I think it was something like he liked working with certain people, and they went there, and they might have been like, "Hey, we'll pay more, we'll give you more budget or something like that," you know. But he also probably didn't want to have to be involved with the DC movies. I got the impression he just kind of did Man of Steel as a favor, but he's not involved after that. Like, he's completely done with it. So maybe he just doesn't want to do that anymore.
Yeah, it seemed like such a weird fit for him to do Man of Steel. I really just didn't understand why he wanted to be part of that. They must have really offered him some nice incentives to offer some guidance, a little bit of guidance.
I think he got 10% or something like that. So, you know.
Good for him.
Or if he didn't, he should have. You know, if you're going to put your name on something like that.
I'm planning to watch Memento sometime this week.
Oh, has anyone ever watched that? Can't you watch it on the DVD? There's a way to watch it the other way. I've never done that, but I've been curious how that would affect it.
I've got the edition where you can. It's a pre-programmed sequence basically. You just have to like hit a particular menu option, and you'll get to see all the little snippets in actual chronological order. And I watched it like that once. It's really sad. It's not fun the way the other version is. It's really just kind of a sad experience.
I was reading. You know how he goes about the guy. What's the guy's name that he had the same condition as him?
Sammy Jenkins.
Yeah. It's been that long since I've actually watched it, but I was reading on a blog that they're saying that he was Sammy Jenkins. No, it was about he was Leonard. No, he was in the mental hospital.
I don't know. He wasn't the one pulling the scam. He was convinced that Sammy Jenkins was a con artist. Or it was Pantaleano thought that he was a con artist, whereas Leonard Shelby was confused about whether or not Sammy Jenkins actually had a genuine memory condition.
Yeah, the reason I was saying was I've seen when he's when it goes into the past and it's in black and white. And there's a scene that you see the guy he's explaining. He says that the reason he says when I first seen Sammy Jenkins, he gave me that look as if he's putting it on. It's a con. He says, but then when he says I realised that what he was doing is he didn't recognise anybody, and to stop people wondering about it, he would just fake that look as well. Oh yeah, and I do know you, that type. And in the scene, the camera pans with a guy. A guy walks in past the camera in the foreground, and it changed from that actor into Leonard in that one or two frames. Right.
Yeah. I noticed that the second time I saw it in the theater. I was like, wait a minute, is that who I think it is?
So they're trying to allude. They're trying to allude that Leonard was actually had murdered his wife, and he was doing all this to block the memory, or was it just to say the similarities between Leonard and Sammy Jenkins?
It's hard to say for sure. I mean, you could argue either way.
That's Christopher Nolan, isn't it?
Yeah. One thing that I always wondered about was when Leonard tells Sammy Jenkins' wife that he doesn't think that that Sammy's problem is bad wiring in his head, that it's a mental or a psychological condition rather than a physical one. It reminds me of the incident. Well, it isn't really an incident, but there's this scene in which he and Natalie, the Carrie-Anne Moss character, are hanging out at her house, and he's basically talking about his wife, and then he goes into the other room and he writes something about Natalie on the back of her photograph, about her boyfriend Jimmy that went missing. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, he shouldn't be able to remember that, because it was at least an hour. It's been at least an hour since she mentioned that to him. So maybe he is the one with the psychological condition, and it isn't actually a physical problem with him, not just because he hit his head, but because it is something that he is psychologically blocking because he does feel responsible
Yeah.
For accidentally injecting his wife too many times with the insulin.
Right.
Mhm.
That was,
Do you remember that, Jim?
It's been a while for me in Memento, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, I mean, some of
Yeah.
this I remember, but I don't. It's been a little bit
it's,
to get any sort of in-depth thing about Memento from me at this point.
I'll look for it. Can I watch it this week, Scott?
Yeah, I'll take another look at it as well. I'm pretty sure though that he shouldn't be able to remember that. If he does have the short-term memory, if it's something that he can't control, he should have been able to remember that detail about Natalie an hour later. It just doesn't make sense.
Jim, that's a cool T-shirt you got, Jim.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's How to Train Your Dragon.
I thought it was your cat. It looks the same as your cat.
Oh no, it is. My cat's actually my black cat's right here. This is Olive.
Oh.
She's probably not pleased to be on screen, but she acts and looks like Toothless in How to Train Your Dragon quite a bit. So anytime anyone who's seen my cat saw that movie was like, oh my god, it's Olive. But yeah, no, she's a good cat. She doesn't jump on hasn't jumped on my chair when I'm making a video in a while, but I guess since we're doing this, it's long enough that she's like, okay, I'll make an appearance. So, you know.
Do you know Ricky Gervais?
Yes, I do.
He loves cats, and on Vine, you know the social.
Yeah.
It's a 6 second. He's always putting the clips on his cat. They're
oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, now I haven't used Vine in forever, so I'm gonna have to go on it now.
He's on Instagram as well, so what he puts on Vine, he puts on Instagram as well.
Oh, okay. Then I'll have to follow him on Instagram then. I didn't know that. I didn't know he was a cat person. That's cool.
Oh yeah, he's had cats all his life. No, any of his live concerts in the DVD extras, he'll show you in his house or whatever, and he's always had cats. But
cool.
It's funny. He puts these funny 10-second clips up of them and stuff.
Oh, cool. No, I like him a lot. I liked his Golden Globe stuff and The Office and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen his new show though, the Derek, I think. Right?
I've not seen that, but I've just watched these 4.
I've heard of that one.
I've watched these 4 live concerts. Just brilliant.
No, he's really funny. Oh, actually, I guess I saw him in the Muppets, the most recent Muppets.
Is that a good film?
Not especially. I do like the Muppets, but that wasn't it wasn't as good. It's like the Muppets in Europe, but they keep making because Ty Burrell's character is a French investigator and he keeps going on vacation a lot. That was like their big joke. It's like but it was I don't know, I had a decent time, but it wasn't like a memorable Muppets movie. I kind of was hoping they'd all be really good since they had the same director as the last one, but it wasn't as good, and it seems like audiences didn't like it as much either because they didn't seem to see it as much. I don't know if it was bigger overseas, but
yeah,
there's a lot of cool humans in that one. Danny Trejo and Ray Liotta and Tina Fey and all them. That was I didn't go and see it, but I thought, well, that looks like fun. I guess. Yeah. A nice cast will fool me every time, right?
I mean, it was fun. It was just a less notable installment of the Muppets, I guess. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it happens.
What about TV shows? Have you watched any TV shows?
I'm getting caught up with The Leftovers right now on HBO. I've watched 2 episodes so far.
The Leftovers?
Yeah, it's kind of like it's focused on this particular town where there was an incident about 3 years ago. It wasn't just in the town, it was worldwide. A whole bunch of people just vanished into thin air like it was the rapture, except that nobody believes it was actually the rapture because both good and bad people just vanished. And nobody knows why, and nobody knows what happened to them. So 3 years later, they're all still kind of dealing with that stuff. And there's a lot of people who have sort of formed this weird silent cult in which they all wear white and basically just sort of like stalk people, and no one really knows what it is they want exactly. Yeah, there's some weirdness going on there. I don't know where it's headed, but I think the main character, who is the police chief, has some sort of paranormal ability that he has been suppressing because his father is the same thing. They thought he was crazy because he talks to people, but it seems like he's actually communicating with some otherworldly presence or groups of people, something like that. I've only just started it, so I don't know a lot about what's going on yet.
Sounds good, huh?
Yeah, so far it's pretty interesting. Yeah.
Jim, you're watching The Sopranos, eh?
I'm watching. Yeah, my wife and I were watching The Sopranos, which is.
Sorry, what's up? Oh, we'll wrap up soon. Thanks.
My wife and I have been watching The Sopranos, which is really addicting, and I mainly watched it because everyone. I kept reading how that's the blueprint of modern TV, basically. Especially Mad Men is really influenced by The Sopranos and how they did it. But I mean, I'm really into it, and Gandolfini's amazing, and I don't know, the acting's really good. I'm surprised how weirder and darker it can get. But it's a show that, like, once you get in, you'll end up watching. You'll be like, no, let's watch another one, and then another one, and it just like sucks you in.
Yeah.
And I've been watching that, and there's a couple cartoon. I mean, I'm watching the new Doctor Who, but I've only seen the first two of the Capaldi ones, which I like. The second one with the kind of fantastic voyage in a Dalek thing was kind of cool. And that was a decent Dalek episode. I kind of wish they had switched showrunners, even though I kind of like Moffat. But I get sick of people talking about how great the Doctor is. That's my pet peeve right now. But
how do you like Capaldi?
I like him so far, but I haven't seen like the Robin Hood episode, which seemed a little too far for me. And I was like, that's probably why I haven't watched it in a little bit, because I'm like, I don't know, Robin Hood, all right. Like, I watched this real serious dark one, and then it's like, no, let's go to Goofy Robin Hood, but I haven't seen it, so maybe it's really good, I don't know. I'm also a big fan of the show, Gravity Falls, which is a show, it's an animated show, it's on Disney Channel, which at first sounds worse than it is, but it's basically these kids who live with their uncle, who runs a mystery kind of tourist trap, and they're trying to unlock the mysteries of their town, and that's actually really good. I'm hopelessly addicted to that show. Like, every time a new one comes out, I have to watch it, and it's also really funny and a fun show. So it's like you get this cool conspiracy thing, and it's fun. So, but I watch a lot of cartoons. That's a weakness, I guess. If I didn't have a DVR, I probably wouldn't watch as many. But you know,
it's when you. I don't know. It's I never used to buy TV shows on DVD and Blu-ray because they were always on TV.
Yeah.
But one of the guys that I follow on YouTube, he was like the king of buying TV shows, eh? And I just thought, right, I've not seen any of Lost, I say, so I'll get some Lost, and it just hooked me. It was like I was going through like 6 episodes a day, then it went up to, it was like I just couldn't get enough, and then I started buying Game of Thrones, Walking Dead, and stuff.
Yeah.
It's great. Just need adverts. No, you need to just watch one episode, another episode.
Yeah, it's like you get in a mode, and then you're just like, boom, boom. But one show that's really good, and I don't know if it's gotten over there yet, or I don't know the deal with it. But The Nick, which is the Steven Soderbergh directed, he directs every episode, and it takes place in an early 20th century hospital called the Knickerbocker, but its nickname is the Nick, and it's about this hospital, and Clive Owen's the lead surgeon, and it's when surgery was a lot scarier and less fatal than it is now. And there's a new black surgeon coming in, and obviously since it's the earliest 20th century, they're a lot less progressive about that. And it's pretty good, and it has music by Cliff Martinez, who's not really someone you'd expect to do a show like that. And it has like this techno score with this early 20th century setting. But it's an interesting show. I actually kind of want to review it when the whole season's done. I'm also kind of a Sonnenberg fan, but it's a really interesting show. I was surprised that a network would get behind it because it's not very TV-ish. It's more kind of cinematic, like what you'd expect from Sonnenberg.
Yeah,
Right.
oh, I'd expect that he would definitely push the boundaries of something like that. I would be watching it if I had Cinemax, but I'd have to pay extra for that.
I thought he was. I thought he was retiring from.
Well,
TV.
he's kind of doing the Jay-Z retirement where he's like, I won't do movies, but I'll do TV shows. Basically, that's okay, but he won't do. There won't be a Steven Soderbergh movie at this point.
He directed a play as well, if I
yeah.
read right. I'm not sure what it is, but yeah, it was pretty recent. Guys, we need to wrap up here. If it's okay with you?
Yeah, fine, mate.
Yeah, that's fine.
Great. Thanks very much, Jim, for joining us.
Yeah,
Appreciate
nice
it.
to meet you, Jim.
Oh no, nice to meet you too. I'm sorry I can't. If it works out, I'd like to do this again. It was fun.
Yeah, aye.
Good. Cool.
It's always fun, eh?
Yeah, it's great to talk to both of you. Well, and thanks everybody for watching. Appreciate it very much.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks again.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.